Going to Denver is his chance to prove if he is MVP worthy. He's got a new team. He's got new offensive, receiving group to get used to. So we'll see what he can do once he gets there.
Yeah, and I echo exactly what Tedy is saying. When you look at Russell Wilson's body of work, the start of the seasons, he's always at the top of the heat. Then he starts to fade as the season goes on. And you go back and you think about when he did, in fact, win the Super Bowl, it was predominantly that defense. And even to the point where he got back to the Super Bowl and they tried to make the throw to make him the MVP and the Super Bowl hero, it was a failed attempt. But it wasn't because of his offensive plays that they got to that Super Bowl. It was more about that defense again. And when they finally made it about Russell Wilson, they kind of never got on a consistent basis making deep runs into the playoffs. And the Seattle Seahawks was willing to let him go. They didn't put up a big fight to keep him this time around. Now, going to Denver is going to shine a different light on him. If he takes Denver and makes strong runs and deep runs into the playoffs and the Super Bowl appearance, then he gets put into that elite category.
But, TB, I wanted to ask you, so, look, I think there's a lot of, and I'm not saying this as pertaining to Key because Key always talks about the overall picture, but I think whenever people hear Russell Wilson's name now, there's a lot of recency bias to what happened last year and obviously his injury. But understanding who he is healthy, can he win a Super Bowl in Denver? Is that possible?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jay, that's possible that he can win a Super Bowl in Denver and he can break through and be considered. I mean, it would be. I mean, in vogue, what's in vogue is that's what these quarterbacks do. They look for their perfect situation, their ideal situation, or they're not happy with where they are, and they think that they're stuck in a rut and they need to show that they can do other things. Stafford, Brady, now Wilson in Denver. I mean, I would argue that if Wilson were to get out of that division in the AFC West and get to the playoffs, say he wins that division, that's almost just as much as a couple playoff wins, because how hard that's going to be, especially in the month of December, because you know how the NFL schedules these games where he may have to go through the Chargers and the Chiefs and the Raiders in consecutive weeks or 3 out of 4 weeks in that division, where there may be a couple plays where Wilson will make the play and they're winning, or the ball bounces the other team's way and they don't make the playoffs. That's how tight it's going to be towards the end. So if Russ and the Broncos come out of that with the division championship, I mean, I would start to look at him like, man, he switched teams and then he got out of that division with a division championship. That's pretty impressive.
And one of the biggest problems that he's going to face, Jay and Tedy, is the offensive skill set players are very young. Jared Jeudy and Courtland Sutton and Patrick and those guys, they haven't really taken a next step. Now, you could clearly say it was because they didn't have any quarterbacks, whatever you want to call it. I mean, but they haven't shown anyone that they can and make you believe that they are going to be top-line skill position players within that conference. Now, they run the ball extremely well. They rush for about 1,900 yards. Now, he's getting back to a team with a similar formula that he had his first time around in Seattle when he won the Super Bowl. So we'll have to see. Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. We'll see.
Tedy.
Yeah, and Key, isn't that what the truly elite do now, though? Isn't that what the Bradys and the Rodgers do? Give me a couple guys, don't worry, I'll still get the job done. So that's like a true sign of who you are as a quarterback. So let's see if Russ can do that with those guys.
Tedy Bruschi with us, Keyshawn J. Willimax, ESPN Radio. Tedy, I like what you said about elite, because I agree with you. I think there's a tier of 3 quarterbacks. There's Brady, Mahomes, and Rodgers, right? If you're being as objective as possible, that's tier 1. If you call that elite, then the next tier, to me at least, would seem to have Josh Allen and Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, maybe Justin Herbert, though he hasn't been to the playoffs yet, eyeball test, Lamar Jackson, maybe Matt Stafford, maybe Derek Carr. Is Russell Wilson in at least that group?
Yes, that's the group I put Russ in. You're talking about a lot of quarterbacks there that, depending on who they are, they still have something to prove. I mean, Russ has shown the ability to be a reason why a team wins a championship or makes a playoff run, a deep playoff run, loses Super Bowl, those type of things. At least we've seen him in those games, and we've seen, his demeanor and what he can do, those type of things. There are some quarterbacks we're still curious as to, you get to a championship game, you get to a Super Bowl, how are they going to be? But definitely Russ is there right when those, Allen, Herbert, Jackson, those type of quarterbacks, yes.
Tedy, I'm curious, if you had to choose which quarterback you preferred or you thought was better, which one would you say was better right now, Matthew Stafford or Russell Wilson?
Ooh, that's a good one, Jay.
I only asked TB because it's funny. Like a couple years ago,
there,
everybody was poo-pooing on Matthew Stafford all the time, and all of a sudden he won a Super Bowl, and it's like he's in that tier now.
He made key plays down the stretch to win it. Made key plays.
Like I'm curious. It's just interesting.
Yeah, and I would think the deciding factor for me would be what I saw Stafford do in that last drive to get that score. I'd go with Stafford. When he just said, I know where you know where I'm going, and I'm still going to do it, and that's Cooper Kupp, and I'm going to hit him, be on the same page, put it where it needs to be, let my receiver do the job, and boom, down the field, Kupp here, Kupp there, to the right, to the left, short, intermediate, those type of throws. I was looking at that, and then Stafford, it just opened my eyes to where this guy is on another level to me. Earned a lot of respect from me during that. So I'd go Stafford with that, Jay.
Jay, you know why people felt that way about Matthew Stafford? Because he was buried in Detroit.
Yeah.
And we needed to see it.
We needed to see
it. We needed to see it. Russell Wilson was on some good teams in Seattle, and we saw it. Then when those good teams were not good anymore, he didn't really take them and make them better.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.